Hey guys, so today we're working actually on my Magnum, and it's time to actually change the antifreeze. And I did the first flush, which I'm gonna show you in a second. Looks pretty nasty. Did already the second flush. Still looks sort of nasty, but I cleaned it all out. And one of the things I ran into, and I'm pretty sure you guys have the same issue when you want to do it yourself, is that when you turn that knob on the radiator on the bottom right 90 degrees, you would expect that it actually drains. It does if it is not fully clogged, and so mine was fully clogged. And the good benefit with it is if you wiggle good enough without breaking it, you can actually remove it. And the part is actually this part. I hope you can see it. So this one is actually removable, and you can reinsert it. Once it's removed, it actually shoots out the antifreeze, and you can flush your radiator pretty easily. I've done that, and in a minute I'm going to show you how it's going to be reinstalled and how you can actually remove it fairly easy. So hold on, guys. So this is actually the radiator fluid, the real radiator fluid, with all the gunk and goo in it. As you can see when I slush it a little bit around, there's a lot of debris in. I didn't change it out for 50-60,000 miles. It was more than overdue. So got it flushed out. This is actually in a kitty litter container. It holds a couple gallons. I think it's 2.5 gallons what it holds. But you can actually go to your local city landfill, and they are gonna actually take it and recycle it for you. So now I'm gonna show you in a second also the second flush, how it looks like, and then we're getting ready for actually reinstalling this plug. Here you can see it again. It has a twist to it, so when you twist it back in, or when you remove it, you twist it and pull it out. So this is actually not breaking like on many other models. Here you can actually remove it completely and also reinstall it without a problem. So let me show you my second flush, what it looks like. But it's still a little dirty. Did another flush afterwards, and that came out fairly clear. So this is actually my second and third flush mixed together. It still is very nasty looking, but the third flush, which I just done, is also in it, and it actually came out fairly clear. So I'm pretty much ready to actually fill it back up with new antifreeze. So now we are actually at the radiator plug on the bottom right. Down here is actually the end of the hose. I don't want to go too far down because the sun is very bright. So going back in there you can actually see the opening. That's the opening. Let's see if I can zoom in here a little bit on it. So that's the opening, and that's where exactly this plug goes in, and it goes in like so. I hope I can do it here with one hand. Goes in. I used a tool for that. Sorry for the shaky camera, but let's see. There you go. Come on. Go back inside again. Yeah. Every time you want to demonstrate something, of course. There you go. So now you can see it just slid in, so you have to wiggle it a little bit. But this means it's still open. As long as it's vertical, it means it flows out here to the pipe. Now you have to turn it 90 degrees, and it stops at 90 degrees, so you can't really push it further. But that is now fully closed. So again, this is closed. As soon as you turn it 90 degrees, it's open, and it drips through that pipe to the bottom parts. This is how you're supposed to drain it, but sometimes when you clog up dirt and debris, especially rust material in it, it clogs up so it doesn't drain. So that's when you actually have to remove it. But I've done that. I'm done with it. So this one is locked. So I'm going to show you guys what I'm going to use to actually fill it with and how much I'm going to use. Alright, so here we are. So I'm using X from Xerix, the formula G05, which is the one you actually have to use in your Dodge Magnum. Doesn't matter if it is an SX, T, an SE, an RT, or an SRT8 even. They all use this type of fluid. And with it I also use distilled water because it doesn't have any of the bad chemicals with it. Since I'm in Florida, my 50-50 mix doesn't really have to stay in a 50-50, but I have a concentrate of this as well, which I'm gonna pour in. I have to come up to 2.5 gallons to fill up my whole system. And so the system itself only has 4 quarts in. This one I used prior to a little bit in the flushing process, but as you can see, if you have, sorry for the wiggly camera, but here you can see actually your 50-50 mix is for freezing temperature up to -34 Fahrenheit, which is pretty good. Since I'm in Florida, I don't really endure that type of a temperature, so I can actually run this now on a lighter mix. That's why I'm using some distilled water with it. But if you are up north, you actually be better off if you buy the concentrated version and just mix the concentrated version accordingly. Pure concentrated, I wouldn't recommend to run that because it's too liquidy. But if you run it on a 70-30, for example, and when I go on it, you can see it. 70-30 is all good to -84 degrees Fahrenheit. That should be even for Canada temperature pretty good. And make sure you get your Xerix G05, and if you buy another brand, which is fine, just make sure it is actually HOAT formulated. And that is a zinc based, and I can zoom in and here it tells you exactly. So it pretty much provides you phosphate free hybrid organic acid technology, and that's what HOAT stands for. And so that is actually what is running on most modern cars, especially the Chryslers, Cats, Cummins, John Deere, even Mack, you name it, Saab, Fiat. So make sure that you look actually in your manual and verify what type of antifreeze coolant you have, because there are 2 kinds out of there. One which is an HOAT, like this one is, the G05 formula, and then you can use just over-the-counter cheap stuff, which is a non-phosphate free mix. So thanks for watching, guys. Please rate and subscribe and leave your comments if you had issues similar. Later on I'm actually gonna do another video regards those Bosch spark plugs, which I've already used now almost 100,000 miles without changing out, and so I'm gonna take those out in a minute after this and shoot a second video for these. I bought plenty, as you can see, plenty more than I actually need. This is actually on a V6 engine, but they're hard to come by, but they're definitely worth the money. I ran them now for almost 90,000 miles without even having an issue, and since now the last 2,000 miles I had issues where I felt it, so it's time to replace them. But that's for another video. Thank you for watching.